Welcome to Chapter 5, Target Markets, Segmentation, and Evaluation. This is an important chapter. I'll go over this in as much detail as I think necessary to kind of get you in the right frame of mind to understand what's going on here. But this is the very, very foundational ideas in marketing. If you understand this, and more importantly, then how you segment markets, but why you segment markets. I mean, that's probably and why you evaluate the segments that you look at. And it's not anything real deep to understand, but it is necessary to understand the language and the meaning behind the terms and things like that. So pay attention to the due dates. Everything else will stay the same in the chapter. I'll be back and look forward to seeing your work. Anyway, stay on top of things. Okay, let's look at, here's the learning objectives and what we're going to go after. So what are markets? So markets are groups of people. Now, there's more than one kind of market, first off, and I may have mentioned this in class before, but business to consumer, or B2C, is the retail world, which you and I are all very familiar with. There's also, these are probably the two major ones, B2B, business to business selling, or markets. Specifically, though, the type of segmentation we're looking at here has to do with B2C markets. So that's a good thing to remember. And here we are, consumer market, business market. Those are markets, and they represent total markets right now. So here's the process. And essentially, when we're selecting who we're going to sell to, or who we're primarily going to target. And we segment markets, or just describe characteristics of markets. And there's lots of different characteristics to use. And which ones we use depends upon the type of product and the type of market we're trying to segment, or target, excuse me. So we identified the targeting strategy, or how we're going to do what we need to do and why. Number two, which variables to use. And we'll go through each of these fairly quickly, but we'll go through each of these so you understand what's going on. Number three, develop a target market profile. So if you were going to describe someone, these would be characteristics of that person. Okay, but this is done not just to identify a person, but to understand, in a certain sense, in certain methods, what motivates them to buy what they buy. Then we evaluate the attractiveness of a target segment, meaning groups of customers, and there's got to be enough. There's certain things, there have to be enough of them. We have to be able to access them. We have to be able to compete in those markets. But we evaluate them. How attractive is it? And then we say, because we might have identified 3 or 4 targets, well, which ones, we want to pick the one that A, has the highest payoff, and B, where we can compete. And then number 5, we select a target, develop our marketing plan, and away we go. Okay, so number 1, identify appropriate targeting strategy. So the characteristics, product attributes, the objectives and resources that we have. This is like the broadest things to think about. So what are the characteristics of the target market? Well, the target market and the product go together because one's meant for the other. And attributes are just characteristics. Is it an expensive product? Is it a cheap product? Is it middle of the road product? Is it meant to be a premium product? Is it meant to be, all of those? There's no right or wrong here. We're just identifying what the product is like and what kind of markets would it appeal to. The product attributes are features and benefits. Okay, that's the easiest way to think about that. So undifferentiated targeting means, versus differentiated, or homogeneous means a strategy in which a organization designs a single marketing mix. So marketing mix are like what you see in the circle: product, price, place, and then distribution or place. But promotion is advertising, product and price. Undifferentiated means same, one size fits all. Okay, that's undifferentiated marketing. And large customers have similar needs. So, and there's not many markets out there or products that are meant for the entire market. We've talked about this in class. Look at how many different kinds of toothpaste there are. It's just stupid old toothpaste. Or laundry detergent. Look at how many different variations are as Tide. So if you go to the grocery store next time, just walk around and look if you don't believe me. Okay, so undifferentiated, one size fits all, it always. Now this is rarely the case, but this is something to understand. So heterogeneous means there's differences. Not everybody wants the same thing. Not everybody buys just Crest. There's half a dozen or more flavors or variations of Crest for different markets. And by markets, I mean needs, wants, willing to pay, looking for. So market segmentation is the process of dividing along certain characteristics known as segments, and these are common characteristics. And then we choose out of those segments, okay? So the majority of customers use marketers or businesses to satisfy their customers. They're looking for a fit. Okay, so for market segmentation to succeed, these conditions have to be there. So it's got the customer's needs for the product must be heterogeneous. All right, so there's variation. Segments must be identifiable and divisible. You got to be able to identify those segments. If you can't identify them, you can't segment it. You must compare different market segments, cost, sales potential, like what I said, profitability. Now, none of this you can know for certain, but it's your estimation. You're making decisions about the future. At least one segment must have enough profit to justify developing and maintain a mix for it. So you wouldn't develop a kind of Crest toothpaste for a segment that didn't want to buy it, or it was just too far out there. You got to make money at this. It's not a hobby. The company must be able to reach the chosen segment with particular marketing mix, so distribution or place. So this shows you the same graph, but now we can differentiate. So different targets within the A, B, and C they've got them divided into. So allows for specialization. A small firm can compete. You could be what they call a niche or niche player and serve a really small segment, but it might be highly profitable and highly specialized, which can keep competition away. Profits fall with demand. It's difficult to diversify along certain lines. So these are not infinitely divisible markets. Okay, so if we choose marketing mix 1 and 2, those are the segments we'd go after, A and C in this example. But if we're selling more than one flavor or size or quality, like gold, silver, bronze, that type of thing, it's going to cost us more to make it. So these don't come free. But again, these are very fundamental business decisions. Okay, so now we're number 2, determine which segmentation variables to use. So characteristic criteria, what do we need to know is kind of the way to think about it. So needs for uses of, you have to be able to measure these things. The resources affect the size and the number of segments, and the degree of variation in customer needs dictate the number and size of segments targeted. So here's a good list. So demographic, these are things that are easy to measure: age, gender, race, ethnicity, income, religion, social class, household life cycle, where you at. You got little kids, you got grown-up kids, you got no kids, occupation, family size, are you married or aren't you? Those types of things. Geographic, where do you live? Climate, terrain, is it a city or is it rural? Now, the top 2 are easy to measure. The bottom 2 are way more behaviorally based, but can give you a much richer view of someone. So, for example, just because someone's the same age, they're female, they're Native American, they have same income, same education, doesn't mean they all buy the same thing. So this is where we get certain products need to have a psychographic or psychological profile, personality attributes, motives, lifestyle. How do they want to live? So that might be necessary for lifestyle type products. And then behavioral. Okay, volume usage, end use. What are we looking for benefit wise? See, now we can divide this up into meaningful groups based upon not just who they are, but why they're buying it. That's the key difference there. So, and the bottom 2, the more you get into those, the more expensive it becomes to determine those things. So This is the demographic variables, which I read to you. This is one you're probably most familiar with. You've heard this term before. Generational, annual expenditures on average. Let me keep going. Geographic market density, geodemographic segmentation, where you live. Geography matters. You're probably not going to sell too many snowblowers in South Florida. So geography does matter because it affects things. It affects how you behave, how you live, and so on. Psychographic personality characteristics, how you see yourself, how you view yourself, what motivates you, what kind of lifestyle you're after, those types of things. Again, this is way more in depth for certain products than other types of variables. Benefit segmentation. What are you looking for? I like that. This one's especially powerful. That benefit sought, or based upon what it does, not what it is, but what it does. How does it make you feel in those senses? But you got to be able to identify the benefits. But that can be a very powerful tool. So business markets, a little different. Size of the market, geographic location, type of organization, product use. This does not deal, because you deal with professional buyers. Same 4 Ps, but professional buyers make decisions about business products versus you and I, who are, so the psychological makeup of the buyer in a business sense isn't necessarily important. Okay, so now we develop a segment profile. It's like describing people. So it describes similarities among potential within a people or people groups or customer groups within a segment. Different organizations, assess the degree of products fit the product needs. So this just becomes a matching tool now. Our firm's SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, it helps us understand those things because we're trying to match those up. We want to compete and win, remember. Sales estimate, market potential. How much are we going to sell? Can we make money at this or can't we? Potential. This projection of sales is what this is all about. So relevant segments. So we're going to go after the segments typically where we think we're going to sell the most, best return on investment on assets, and so on. So this is the financial part of it. Competitive assessments. Can we compete and win? That's really important. We might have a very desirable segment out there, but can we compete in that segment and win? Maybe would be the answer. What's it going to cost us? And so on. Select specific target markets. Well, here we go. So marketing analytics. Analytics are just tools that measure things. All right, so that help us inform us to make useful insights. You got to have the resources to go after it. Legal issues, conflicts with interest groups, technological advancements. You got a long versus short-term growth. I mean, there's a lot to be considered, but this is true business right now. That sales forecast, I'm not going to go into that too much. You can read about that, but that's part of the analysis factor. Executive judgment might be part of this, might be a big part of it, because it's hard to look into the future and know exactly how many you're going to sell. So this is where the people with the gray hair and with a lot of experience can be invaluable to charting the future of an organization or a product. Surveys, Delphi method, Salesforce forecasting. There are lots of ways to analyze potential sales. Time series analysis, trends. This is research stuff. Regression analysis or statistics. If you ever get a chance to take a stats class, I suggest you do it just to know how it works. Market testing. They got advantages. Everything has advantages, disadvantages, pros, cons, benefits, costs. So yes, you can do a test market, which is just on a limited basis, like one city. You could choose one city to test, roll out a product, see how it does, and then decide from there if it's successful and you want to roll it out nationwide or statewide or regionally or worldwide. So different methods, you're going to use multiple methods because then you compare the results and come up with the best guess. Okay, and this is the last one. Use multiple forecasting methods because we want to know, to give us a sense of security, kind of a best case, worst case, middle of the road typically is where we end up on those things. So there you go. So like I said, don't neglect reading the chapter carefully. Listen to what I've done here, but go through everything else the same. MindTap is the same this week. There is a test at the end of the week, so do pay attention to that. But you've got a syllabus with all the information you need. So I look forward to seeing you again. Take care, and I'll be back.